Welcome back to Just Saying, the weekly webcast on the Standard Democrat website. Of course, if you're watching us now, it's obvious you know where to find it. It's on standard-democrat.com. We appreciate your participation. Steve McFeeters and I are here today. And Steve, you look mighty dapper today.
It's National Canary Day.
I commend you on that, and you look great.
Pet a canary somewhere.
We're this kind of a special program today.
Yes.
We don't necessarily keep track of it, but our Ace production man keeps track of it. This marks the first anniversary of Just Saying.
Yes.
Time goes by rapidly, doesn't it, my friend?
It does, and it's a way to communicate to the viewership and the readership of the paper some interesting topics, sometimes maybe not so interesting, but the idea is to talk about things that are going on in the community and to get your feedback and to have some really nice guests on.
Yes,
and
yes.
A year ago, it was raining cats and dogs. We had floods. We had
goodness gracious.
We're talking about the new DPS building, which is about completed now within the next few months.
Yes.
A lot of things we were talking about have happened, and you realize there's a lot of opportunity in our community, and at the same time, still a lot of challenges.
Well, in the past year, I don't know if there's an excellent time or a good or bad time to start a program like this, but our timing coincidentally happened to be good because there were a lot of things going on in Sikeston. And as we've tried to do over the past year, you focus on both those achievements that you want to see in a community, and then you examine those aspects of a community that you'd like to improve. And
right.
And that's been the purpose of the meeting of this program. You have to go back to the very beginning, and for your information, viewers out there, the idea behind this was Steve and Don Culbertson's, I think, and that was, a newspaper has a tendency to be a gathering point for politicians and people in law enforcement and politicians and people within the school system and politicians. And so what we had hoped to do was to take that atmosphere, have a cup of coffee and shoot the breeze and allow you to eavesdrop over this. And that's kind of what we've done. And as you said, we've highlighted a lot of aspects of this community over the past year.
And we were talking about looking at the glass half full, and then you still have to take a look at it half empty.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's a counterbalance. You hope people would assume the best first, but that's not how people are.
No, human nature kicks in a lot of times, and if we had our wish, we would talk about that half full cup every week.
Right.
And we'd point to the accomplishments in this community. I was thinking this morning about Hope Epidemic. Hope Epidemic was an undertaking last year, one of our first programs, as a matter of fact. Tremendous success, brought 1,000 volunteers out to do random acts of kindness.
May 19th this year.
Coming up again, absolutely. But that was definitely a half full issue. It brought together people from a wide variety of areas within this community to do selfless acts and to share in that atmosphere, and it was excellent. As you say, that we do have another, I guess it's Hope Epidemic 2 coming up here in a couple of weeks, May 19th.
May 19th, First United Methodist Church at the Old Story Markets Place parking lot. There's signs all over town.
Yeah.
And I know Brad Acott, Jeff Posgate, and that group will work hard, very committed to the community. But I remember we talked about downtown.
Yes.
With the BMU building, the building of the DPS building. There have been several events since we started this where downtown is becoming a core for community events, and there's some momentum building there. And Falkoff's is still open under new ownership.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
That's something we didn't know a year ago. And then we hear about new building projects on the south end of town that are upcoming. And the other thing that's very interesting to me when you stop and think about it is Sikeston is rapidly becoming a regional college town.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
For Southeast and Three Rivers, nearly 1,500 students taking college classes here.
Yeah, right now.
At a time when the cost of college is astronomical.
Yes.
But yet it's more economical because they can do it here, and they're coming from all over the region.
You know, there's something interesting about that, and I don't think we've ever mentioned, I don't think I've ever written about it, but former superintendent of school Sam Harbin, back some 30 years ago, had the dream for Sikeston to be home to a junior college,
Right.
or to a community college. He, as a matter of fact, I think he wrote his doctoral thesis on that, and Sam obviously was ahead of his time. But if you fast forward to where we are now, if a community needs to be known for something, that's not a bad reputation.
Not a bad reputation at all. Speaking of Sam, one of my favorite mentors of all time.
Yeah.
But that is a good thing to be known for. I know SEMO has the ag program,
Right.
which is really working well. We have people working in agribusiness.
Yes, in our region.
Going to school right here all 4 years. I see what Three Rivers does with employers and customized training, and that's a really good thing. And now through the Vision Commission, they actually have a mentoring group with local employers mentoring new employees on life skills. That's taking place, and that's no one else is really doing that I know.
No, and you know, we've talked about how important those items are and essential, and there are some things that I think that we simply accept that people know, and they don't. And,
Right.
and it's a learning process.
We want to have them come talk about that when they complete
Absolutely.
it. Because there actually are jobs there, but people have to know how to get a job, hold a job, and keep a job.
That's
And
exactly right.
we fail somewhere
Yeah.
not to teach that somewhat.
Yeah, but
it's a societal thing, I know. But
We're
working
getting
at
there.
it.
We're getting
yeah.
there. On another topic, it was just almost a year ago now, we were sitting here with Congresswoman Joanne Emerson, and we were talking about absolutely devastating floods that hit our region, primarily Mississippi and New Madrid County. And so you fast forward today, and the water is gone. Some of the people have returned, some of the people have not returned. We still don't have full resolution on rebuilding the levee, which was obviously the topic of concern at the time. But you look back on that and where we were viewing our potential future a year ago with the flood. It's proven the resiliency of the people in our region, I think, is what it has.
Yeah, but there's more. I mean, people know how to survive from the ice storm to the floods.
Absolutely, yes.
There's no people better than Southeast Missourians, especially boot healers, that know how to pull together and get things done. I was very pleased to see that Do It Best, even though they were on Nash Road in Cape, picked the Sikeston Business and Technology Park after looking for sites in 30 sites in 3 states.
Yes.
So 15, 16 years ago, it was a farm field. That's not that long to have MoDOT, Orgill, Federal Express, Unilever, I think it's Atlas or Americold, trailer manufacturer, now Do It Best. We have become a distribution center as well.
No question about it, absolutely. And it's interesting how communities develop, because I don't think anyone set out to make Sikeston a distribution center. Now, we've always talked about our low-cost utilities, and we've talked about our central location. But I don't know that we ever thought in that vein, but then you wake up one day and you have someone knocking on your door because of your location, and then it expands from there and grows forward. And that's what we have found with the industrial park. It's just like we were talking about the YMCA earlier. If you want to look at success stories in Sikeston, YMCA, as we have said before, and if you've watched this, you've seen, is high on the list. The progress at the Industrial and Technology Park is just phenomenal.
It is.
And it was about 15 years ago. It was a farm field. And what it has evolved to now. I mean, how many jobs are out there?
There's a ton.
I mean, literally thousands of jobs are out there, with more coming. And there's growth all over Sikeston.
On the south end.
Oh,
the south housing end, the housing, and a couple of new projects coming. Three Rivers Community College hopes to break ground this fall on the new community college building. They got over 500 students here. And so next year, if someone drove through our community and they saw a new community college under construction and a couple of new projects and a Do It Best being built what would you say about the town then?
Yeah, yeah. That's. I mean, we look at it. There are those two sets of eyes. We look at it from a local perspective with a great degree of pride, no question about it. But it is a good question that someone a passing through or a first-time visitor or whatever, how they view our community, and with some of those accomplishments, they can't view it as anything but positive, which is wonderful. That's the goal.
And then on the other hand, on the housing authority and the different things, you see the real issues that we have, and that is we still have a lot of people in poverty.
Yes.
We still have inadequate housing for some.
That's correct.
We have people who want to become homeowners, but the selection in certain price ranges are few. So that's the half-empty side.
Yeah, it really is. And that's housing, and I get obsessive with housing, and I have apologized to you, and I apologize to the viewers as well, because I think that is at the core of all of the issues, both good and bad. And with the city's formation of the LCRA, the Land Clearance for Redevelopment Authority, with some proactive efforts by the Housing Authority, I mean, we're making progress. As a matter of fact, there is a meeting scheduled very soon with a very large bank from outside of this area that holds title to about 50 properties in Sikeston that have been condemned. But we as a community don't hold title to it, so we can't remove those properties. They become eyesores. They become safety issues, health issues.
Right.
So there is a meeting coming up here within the next 2 weeks, and hopefully we can resolve that. And we'll wake up one day and there'll be 400 or 500 of these substandard structures in our town that will no longer be here, which will open up the area for that half full now for a developer to come in and to develop new housing for some of these residents. And it's the progression of a community. That's exactly what it is.
And it's a catch-22. I think there are developers who would, but the cost of development has to be to where they have a incentive. And, of course, we want to get more customers from the BMU. We want to get more residents for Sikeston. So that's working through that jigsaw puzzle will be a challenge.
Right, yeah,
and it's
definitely.
just going to be a challenge in the future.
The only aspect of this just saying, this webcast program that we've had for a year now, the only aspect I think that disappoints me is we would like greater input from you who are watching this program and from your neighbors. We try to be a reflection of this community. But, you and I and it's very easy to get hung up on things that interest us, that we have passion about, and maybe we don't see something else. And that's where we depend on viewers, readers of this newspaper, our friends and neighbors to say, hey, have you ever thought about this? Or make a suggestion.
One good exercise somebody ought to do every once in a while in your community, wherever you live, if it's Sikeston, Eastbury, Charleston, New Madrid, Dexter, what are the top 3 priorities from your perspective that your community needs to focus on? Just sit down and write it down. What's the number 1 thing that you think is most important to the future of your community? And then write a second and a third. Don't put 10. You can't do 10. But try 3 and email them to Mike here at the paper, and we'll take a look at them and might have some future show material. But everybody has a feeling or an insight on something.
Yes, absolutely.
And this is a vehicle to share that and, send it in, and we'll present some of those.
You made that suggestion here recently, and the more I think about the greater validity it has. All of us from our different perspectives can look at things that are either we think we need in this community, or quite frankly think we have in this community that we don't need. Substandard housing being one of those things that we don't need. So if everyone would take the time just to think in 3 priorities, I think that's a great idea, because we can all wrap our minds around something like that.
There's one other thing I would throw out is the faith-based community, the churches in our community, both black and white. I've never seen a stronger group of pastoral leaders.
We are blessed.
We're blessed with that.
That's right.
And I know May 3rd is the National Day of Prayer.
Yes.
At First Baptist Church.
Right.
And that's where the pastors are there. And it would be a good thing for people to attend just to support them, because they're on the front lines trying to make the community better. But I also asked myself the question, what would happen if we prayed for the whole community and not just our little part of it.
Which is it, and we're all guilty of that.
Oh, we are.
I mean, we're all guilty of that because, you know, we live our daily lives in one way, and sometimes we see aspects of our community, and other times, quite frankly, we just don't see other aspects of our community. And that's why we depend on people who watch this program and read newspaper, who gather at coffee shops, beauty shops, to talk about these things. Mm-hmm. And I know it's easy to focus on that half empty.
Yeah,
it is, but we need to focus on that half full, perhaps.
3 top priorities. Send them in.
That would be great. But we've got to wrap this up today. We thank you for joining us. We are currently working on a just saying blooper reel that's going to be coming soon, I'm sure. And if I think it's appropriate to thank Charlie Ziegenhorn, who is with us, who has done our production with Z Productions for the very beginning.
Yes. I appreciate Charlie illustrating the topics we're talking about when he gets the B-roll and the cutaways and puts in the show. It does good work.
There's not a whole lot that he can do for us, quite frankly.
It's too late.
It's too late. You're exactly right. But it's not too late for you. We appreciate you watching us today. We honestly, we hope you take time to offer some suggestions. I think the future programs are things that our community can do. A community is only as good as the citizenry, and we think you're excellent. We're depending on you. So thank you again for joining us. We hope to see you next time.
See you.